3 new Amiibo have been released. Let's unbox them and pit them against each other. We have Chrom from the Fire Emblem series. We have Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series, and Incineroar from the Pokemon series. Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, Lithium here from my channel Nintendo Collecting. This time around, I'm going to switch things up a bit. We're going to unbox all 3 of these in one video. I'm going to give you my thoughts on them, rank them amongst the 3, and also theoretically, if these 3 were to get in a battle, who would win? Just based off what I can see on the Amiibo, and I must say the quality of these things is going up and up. These were originally released on November the 15th, 2019. Normally they sell for anywhere between $17 to $25 depending on your region. From everything that I have heard, Incineroar is the most common, then Simon Belmont, and then Chrom is the rarest one in North America. Anyways, I went to a video game swap and everyone was saying that Chrom was hard to get your hands on. I got really lucky and picked these up locally. So first up, let's take a look at these. Incineroar will be for the first one I unbox. I love the different packaging now that they have, the multiple languages up here in the corner. So Incineroar, or in French, Feline Ferno, almost like cat fire or something of the sort, and I can't read the Japanese font. On the back, this is detailed for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I did go to the website because I was curious, what other games do these Amiibo work with? However, the website's not updated yet from Nintendo, so I know these work with Super Smash Bros. They should work with games like Mario Kart, and specifically Chrom probably with Fire Emblem Warriors, but it does depend. I've got my X-Acto knife here, so let me just cut this one open around the side and get to it. So Incineroar is a Pokemon that was a starter with Litten. I think that went back to Pokemon Sun and Moon, which is Generation 7, so I've got that right there. With Incineroar, though, I feel like he's a humanoid character, and they're doing that with a lot of the starter-type Pokemon right now in their final evolution form. I don't want to spoil too much for the newer games that are out for Pokemon that are Sword and Shield. However, I did see that game, and in the game, the evolutions, they're kind of humanoid-esque, I want to say, without doing too many spoilers. So Incineroar is the exact same. Apparently, this guy makes this belt of flame that comes out of his navel, so it's actually coming out right there, and it's going around him. Now, I must say, he does feel a little bit wobbly. The stand, oh, so his foot is actually not mounted at all to the base. I'll try and get you a shot of that. But the foot is not mounted to this base. It lifts up, if you can tell that right there on the camera. And the other foot looks like it's actually maybe mounted, this one. Yes, this one is mounted. You can see the little clear stand on the back and the stand over here as well. Now, a lot of these Pokemon are spot on for their character designs, and this one is definitely the same as the other ones that were released for the Super Smash Bros. Series. The seam works fit in really well with this character. His tail even looks like it's a ball of fire spiraling out, but the main attraction here is, of course, his belt. This does remind me of the fireball that Mario has when he shoots it out from this series as well. It's a little bit strange to have an item on them, but I think for Incineroar, he's got to have that. So the final evolution of Litten, it's another fighting character in the Smash Bros. Universe. I'll measure the heights of all of these at the same time, but just to give you a good shot of this guy close up, and then we can do a little spiral of him. So he is in a fighting pose, his hand is up. He reminds me of almost one of the characters from Sonic, I should say, from all the different games actually. So there's a character in Sonic, name that character in Sonic that looks like he's fire as well, and he's, I guess, lit in some way. Oh no, I hate myself as a person. Alright, so the detail work on this guy's pretty good. He does look furry. He's got the 3 bands on his arms that he's supposed to. He has only 2 bands, I guess, on his legs. And his chest is gray. And again, the fire. Looks pretty good. Alright, let's look at the next one. This one is Simon Belmont. This one is a character that a lot of people were really excited for, especially with the Castlevania series. There's Simon's Quest right there. With the Castlevania series having some sort of representation in Super Smash Bros. And Sakurai did announce what other characters, or he announced there's going to be more characters for Super Smash Bros. In the DLC, not just the original 5 that he had intended. He wants to keep it going, and why not? This should be the best Super Smash Bros. Game of all time, and I think he's trying to make a game that even himself cannot top. He put every single character back in the game that has been there from the past, and he's adding more characters. So who would you like to see in the Super Smash Bros. Universe that has not made an appearance yet? I think getting another Pokemon character might seem a little bit redundant. There's quite a few already, and honestly, with Fire Emblem, there's enough representation, I think, now from Fire Emblem. Before there wasn't enough, and now there's tons from that series. So Simon Belmont. Now this one looks really cool because he has his chain whip about him. So let's just put this back in the box and keep them. Also, I've been keeping all of the boxes for all these Amiibo, just like this. I just put them back in and I can like display them again if I want to by cutting off the back. Comment below, have you just been throwing them out? Have you been recycling? Did you keep them like I have been? I don't know if keeping them is really required or if I'm going to make any money back off those. I've just been keeping them for myself. So Simon here. Also seen on the cover of Simon's Quest, right back there. Maybe I'll just move this to the side for now. This one's really interesting. The detail work, and I know I say that often, but this one is this probably is the most detail I've ever seen. So this chain whip is really cool, actually. This one is not poseable, but it does move a little bit. In order to keep him in this pose, we have it basically attached to his amulet, I want to say, or his wristbands that he has here so that it stays up, and then you can see that little whip chain ball on the end of it. We do have him holding up like a crucifix. That's what this looks like. It looks like a cross, obviously, from the game, and he can also throw out holy water, which I'll mention later in the video. But he looks really neat. Look at all of this. It's almost like leather work, and there's layers on layers for this guy. So he looks really cool. All right, so the top we have a little ruby, I guess, as part of his headpiece. We have, I guess this is, material or fur coming out around his armpits. I really like this character design. I think it's well done. Again, there are some stands at the bottom of this Amiibo, but they are clear. And this pose is just stunning. I think this one did really well. His facial expression looks like he's ready to fight, which makes perfect sense. He looks like he's serious and ready to go. But honestly, I didn't think the Amiibo would come this far, especially when you have certain Amiibo that just the characters are really bland. So Mario's more of a bland character, Kirby of course, Pikachu's pretty bland, but then you have characters like this. So this is why I'm okay paying more money for each Amiibo that's being released recently, because they have jacked the price up. This one looks spectacular. I don't know the purpose of some of the things he's wearing, but I guess it's just part of the character design. And his boots even look really cool as well. That one looks a little bit better than Incineroar in my opinion, but again, you can comment below. I'll get to that in a moment. And here is the rarest one. This is Chrom. So Chrom is from Fire Emblem. He is a descendant of Marth. And really, he's just, in my opinion, a Marth clone. In the game, he might play a little bit different because they all play slightly different. But he has the same hair as Marth. He's from I guess he's a descendant of Marth. And he has a sword, just like most of the Fire Emblem characters. So I'm feeling a little bit of fatigue with the Fire Emblem characters as Amiibo, I feel like. I feel like I definitely have enough of them now in the Fire Emblem universe. There were some that I was collecting that were figurines in the past before there was Amiibo out. And I was trying to basically create my own Super Smash Bros. Trophy case without them being Amiibo. But now that there's Amiibo involved, that's not really necessary anymore. So let's put this back in the case as well. And let's get to Chrom, the rarest of the bunch. So Chrom, this guy does look a lot like the other characters from Fire Emblem. So we have Marth and Ike that he looks pretty similar to. He looks similar to most of them anyways, other than Robin and Corrin maybe. But I think he looks pretty good. He looks jacked. Those arms are huge. His cloak, actually, it looks like this is some sort of... It looks like it's a gradient or something, and it's all frayed at the end, and it has his symbol here as well. I actually don't think I could name the symbol, but you can call that symbol out below as a comment if you want to. I love how the drapes or the capes of the Fire Emblem characters are kind of blowing in the wind. I think that's one of the best aspects of these figurines. And definitely the fray on the side of this. So the one side of the cape's blue, the other side's blue and gray with a gradient because it's actually being weathered. We have his sword is out, and his sword doesn't look like it'll break very easily, but it is a little bit movable, or not poseable, but movable, as is the sheath for his sword back here. That moves a little bit, so you just want to be careful that you don't break those at any point. His shoe looks a little bit strange to me. It almost looks like it's popped off there with his pant leg, but I guess that's the style. On one leg, he's got a gray covering over top of his pants, I guess. And we have his symbol, the same symbol on his arm. That's probably the symbol of his house. And have you played Fire Emblem Three Houses? What a fantastic game that is. I decided to display Fire Emblem Awakening over there instead for the Fire Emblem series rather than Three Houses. The box for Three Houses I have is pretty plain because it's the special edition. But this guy looks really neat. Again, great detail work, but probably not as many details as Simon Belmont. But you still have the little buttons in his work and all the steel. It almost looks like it's steel or silver, and he even has a shoulder protector. So this guy looks pretty neat. All of them are probably really similar in height, but let's just take a look. So I have my ruler out here. In millimeters, Incineroar is just almost 100 millimeters, meaning 10 centimeters, as is Simon. But then we have a little bit more height here. It looks like 110 almost. So roughly 11 centimeters tall for Chrom. So Chrom is about 4 inches tall. It looks like Simon Belmont is 3.75 to 4 inches tall, and same with Incineroar, if you're wondering about that. Now, to compare them to one another, I think the one that wins, in my opinion, this is preference and design, I think, is Simon Belmont. Simon Belmont has this, which just really makes it a completely different character from all of the rest of Amiibo that are out there. It almost reminds me of the Guardian, but you can't pose this guy. So that ball and chain looks really cool. And the crucifix, just great detail work on this guy. So I would probably put him at the number 1 in terms of design. Then number 2, this is really hard to decide. It's preference entirely. I'd probably go with Incineroar would be number 2 in terms of the design. I just love the fact that he has a flame coming out of his navel that acts like a belt. And then number 3, I would put Chrom, but he is the rarest one. If you were only going to pick up one of these from this set, I think you would probably want to pick up Simon Belmont. I just think it's a really cool, unique Amiibo, unless someone's a big Pokemon fan or Fire Emblem. Now, if the 3 of these guys fought each other in a fight, theoretically, just with what they have on them, who do you think would win? Someone with a flame belt, someone with a chain and ball and a crucifix, or someone with a sword? And also you can keep in mind their abilities. But really, let's just say Holy Water would douse Incineroar, and Incineroar would probably just burn both of them. At the same time, we would have his sword coming into play, but I think Simon Belmont's chain and whip and the fact that he has holy water to douse out the flames of Incineroar makes Simon Belmont the winner this time around in this versus Amiibo. You can comment below, what do you think? Who would win in a battle theoretically? And of course, you can battle them off in Smash Brothers. If you're going to pick one of them, I would probably pick Simon Belmont. But thanks so much for watching my unboxing of all 3 of these Amiibo. Comment below which is your favorite, what are your thoughts on these guys, and who would win in a fight. Thanks for watching. Feel free to fill that like bucket. Follow me on all the social media links in the description below the video, especially Instagram. And remember, as always, go collect them all, keep smiling while gaming, and I really appreciate you guys spending the time with me as well. Have a good day, everyone.